I kept my face buried in my bowl of mushroom cream soup, wishing I could dig a hole right there and crawl into it. Sitting opposite me, at the head of the long dining table, was a man in an expensive, hand-tailored ash-gray suit. He radiated a cold, ascetic aura that made the entire lavish dining room of the Sterling family feel pressurized. But that wasn't the reason my hands were shaking enough to drop my spoon. The reason was his eyes. Those pitch-black eyes, sharp as a scalpel, were staring right at me, and the corner of his lips quirked up in a dangerous half-smile. Bella, my best friend, excitedly linked arms with him and introduced us. "Aria, this is my youngest uncle I'm always telling you about, Damon Sterling. He just returned from the European headquarters to take over the corporation." I froze. Youngest uncle. Damon Sterling, the legendary CEO known for his ruthlessness in the business world. Impossible, because just last night, that dignified man sitting there was panting in my ear, and I had stuffed $200 into his shirt pocket before fleeing early this morning. Damon glanced at Bella, then his gaze locked onto me again. He picked up his wine glass, his voice deep and raspy, the tone identical to the haunting whispers of last night. "Pleasure to meet you, Aria. You look very familiar." My heart stopped. I'm dead. It all started with my own stupidity. Yesterday afternoon, I planned to surprise Eric, my boyfriend of 3 years, for our anniversary. I arrived at his apartment earlier than planned, carrying ingredients to cook dinner. But I was the one who got surprised. The door was unlocked. From the bedroom came the jarring sounds of moaning. I stood paralyzed, looking through the crack in the door. Eric was entangled with another girl on the very bed we had chosen together. And what hurt more was that the girl was the intern manager at my company, the one who bullied me every single day. "Eric, you said that country bumpkin Aria was boring. Why haven't you broken up with her yet?" she asked whiningly. "Soon, babe. I'm just waiting for her to pay the rest of this month's rent. She's stupid. She does whatever she's told." Thud, the bag in my hand hit the floor. The two on the bed startled and turned around. Eric's face drained of all blood, and he stammered, "Aria, let me explain." "Explain what? That you're a scumbag or a gold digger," I screamed, throwing the cream cake straight into his face before turning and running. Outside, it was pouring rain, as if the heavens were weeping for my 3 wasted years of youth. I wandered the streets of Silver Lake, soaked and shivering. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to face the truth. Finally, I turned into Velvet Lounge, a high-end bar I would never normally dare to enter. I drank like a madwoman. The strong liquor burned my throat, but it couldn't burn away the pain of betrayal. In my drunken haze, a fat man dripping with gold approached, his greasy hand attempting to land on my thigh. "Little sister, here alone, want to have some fun." I felt nauseous, trying to push him away but lacking the strength. Just then, a hand as solid as iron grabbed the fat man's wrist, twisting it backward. "Get lost," just 2 words. Cold, authoritative, the fat man squealed and scrambled away. I looked up, squinting to see my savior. It was a magnificent specimen of a man. Tall, white shirt with the top 2 buttons undone to reveal a seductive collarbone, a face carved like a statue, but cold and emotionless. In my drunken state, a crazy thought popped into my brain. Eric called me boring. He said I was a country girl who didn't know how to please a man. I would prove him wrong. I stumbled up, grabbed the stranger's tie, and pulled him down. "You're handsome. How much for a night?" The man froze. His dark eyes narrowed dangerously. "You're asking me how much?" "Don't pretend," I giggled, fishing out my wallet. "I know you work here. I'm buying you for the night. Service me well and I'll tip extra." I swear I saw the corner of his mouth twitch. He stared at me for a long moment, then suddenly bent down and swept me up princess style. "Fine. Don't regret this, little girl." That night was madness. He didn't seem like a host serving a client at all. He was powerful, possessive, and passionate enough to make me melt. His skills, his lead, made me forget that bastard Eric entirely. The next morning, I woke up in a lavish presidential suite. My head felt like it was splitting open. Memories flooded back, making my face burn red. Oh my God, what had I done? I slept with a stranger. Looking to the side, the man was still fast asleep. His sleeping face was less cold, more handsome. I tiptoed out of bed, gathering my scattered clothes. Before leaving, I checked my wallet. I had exactly $200 in cash left. This should be enough, right? He looks premium, but I can't get entangled. I placed the $200 on the nightstand and hastily wrote a note. "Thanks for the service. You did great. Keep the tip." Then I fled like a criminal. Back to present, Sterling dining table. "Aria, Aria." Bella's voice pulled me back to reality. I startled, nearly knocking over my water glass. "What's wrong? You're pale as a sheet," Bella asked worriedly. Damon Sterling was still watching me, his hand swirling the blood-red wine in his glass. He spoke slowly. "Perhaps your friend isn't feeling well, or perhaps there is something difficult to discuss." Damon stood up, walked around the table, and headed toward me. Each of his steps hit the wooden floor like a death countdown. He stopped right behind my chair, leaned down, and brought his lips close to my ear, so close I could smell the familiar scent of sandalwood from last night. "Meet me after dinner in the study," he whispered, just loud enough for me to hear. "We need to discuss your tip." The heavy oak door closed behind me, shutting out the safe world outside. Damon's study was vast, smelling of old books and expensive tobacco. He sat in the leather chair with his back to the door. On the desk, the crumpled $200 bill and my note lay conspicuously like evidence in a murder case. "Close the door." His voice wasn't loud, but the authority made my legs obey automatically. I swallowed, trying to keep my voice steady. Uncle Damon, last night was a misunderstanding. I was too drunk so." The chair swiveled around. Damon looked at me, eyes narrowing dangerously. He picked up the $200, flicking it lightly. "A misunderstanding? Aria, do you think Damon Sterling's technique is only worth $200, and in small bills?" My face felt like it was on fire. I'm sorry, I'll pay more. How much do you want?" Damon laughed, a low, cold sound. He stood up, walking slowly toward me. I backed away until my back hit the cold bookshelf. Damon placed both hands on the shelf, trapping me within his solid chest. "I don't lack money, Aria. The Sterling Corporation makes $200 every second." His long finger traced lightly from my chin down to my neck, making me shiver. "What I lack is a therapist for my insomnia. Last night was the first time in 5 years I slept soundly." "What do you mean?" I asked, trembling. "Be my woman. In return, I won't tell Bella her best friend bought her uncle like a discount item." And his eyes flashed with a murderous glint. "I know you're in trouble with that terrible ex-boyfriend. I can help you crush him." The offer was tempting, but also dangerous. Be Damon Sterling's woman, I intended to refuse, but the image of Eric and his mistress mocking me flashed in my mind. I need to think. Fine, Damon leaned down, kissing my earlobe lightly, a kiss marking his territory. But don't make me wait long. Tomorrow at the office, you will need me. I froze. How did he know where I worked? I walked into the company with dark circles under my eyes. The moment my butt hit the chair, a thick stack of documents was slammed onto my desk. Aria, redo this entire report before lunch. One typo, and you pack your bags. It was Chloe, Eric's mistress, and also my direct manager. She was wearing a tight dress with a plunging neckline, deliberately revealing a bright red hickey on her neck, a mark I knew exactly who had put there. The office went silent. Everyone knew Eric had dumped me for Chloe, but no one dared to speak up because Chloe was the niece of a minority shareholder. I submitted this report last week, and it was approved. I bit my lip, protesting. If I say it's no good now, then redo it. What? Not convinced? Chloe sneered, leaning into my face. A dumped loser should know their place. Eric was right, you're both boring and useless. No wonder he got sick of you. Just then, Eric walked over, coffee in hand, looking smug. He looked at me like I was a pile of trash. Aria, you'd better just write your resignation letter. Don't make me fire you. Seeing your face here upsets Chloe. I clenched my fists until my nails dug into my palms. This adulterous couple really had no shame. This is a company, not your bedroom. I'm not quitting. You, Chloe raised her hand to slap me. Attention all. The HR director's shout rang out from the main entrance, cutting the drama short. He looked panicked, sweating profusely. Assemble immediately. The new chairman of the parent corporation just landed and is on his way here for a surprise inspection. Clean up now. Anyone looking sloppy gets fired on the spot. The office erupted into chaos. Zenith had just been acquired by a massive financial group last week, but the identity of the new owner was still a secret. Chloe hurriedly adjusted her dress, glaring at me. Aria, go make coffee. Don't stand in the front row and embarrass my department. Go stand in that corner. She shoved me to the back, then pulled Eric to the very front row, looking eager to impress the big boss. The automatic glass doors slid open. A line of bodyguards in black entered first, clearing a path, and then he appeared. Still the expensive handmade suit, still that regal aura that made people hold their breath. It was Damon Sterling. The office gasped at his beauty and power. Chloe's eyes lit up. She puffed out her chest, flashing her most seductive smile. The company director scurried fawningly behind Damon. Mr. Sterling, this is our most excellent marketing department. Damon didn't even glance at him. His cold eyes swept over the bowing employees, then stopped at Eric and Chloe. Thinking Damon was noticing her, Chloe stepped forward, her voice sugary sweet. Hello, Mr. Sterling. I am Chloe, the manager here. It is an honor to. Damon breezed past her as if she were air. He walked straight toward the corner of the room, where I was standing huddled with a tray of coffee. The entire room held its breath. Eric and Chloe stared wide-eyed. Damon stopped in front of me. He reached out, adjusting my slightly crooked shirt collar, an action so intimate my heart wanted to leap out of my chest. Why are you standing here? His voice was warm, completely different from his cold demeanor earlier. I stammered. The manager told me to stand in the back so I wouldn't embarrass the company. Embarrass? Damon turned around. The smile vanished from his lips, replaced by terrifying cruelty. He looked straight at Chloe, whose face was now drained of all blood. "You said my woman embarrasses the company." Damon's sentence was like a nuclear bomb detonating in the office. Your woman, sir?" Chloe trembled, her legs giving way. Beside her, Eric's jaw dropped, dropping his file folder. Damon didn't bother answering her. He took the coffee cup from my hand, took a sip, frowned, and poured it onto the floor right in front of Eric's shoes. Terrible coffee. But he turned to me, his lips quirked up. "Your brewing skills are still poor, not nearly as good as your technique the night before last." Whispers exploded. My face turned beet red. He did that on purpose. He said that on purpose so everyone would misunderstand. Damon took my hand, pulling me out of the corner. He looked at Eric, his gaze like he was looking at an ant. "You are Eric, the stupid ex-boyfriend who threw away this gem." Eric shook like a leaf. Mr. Sterling, I." "You're fired," Damon said lightly. "And her too. Notify the entire industry. Anyone who dares to hire these two is an enemy of the Sterling Corporation." Chloe screamed, collapsing to her knees. "No, you can't do that. My uncle is a shareholder." "Shareholder?" Damon sneered. "I just bought all your uncle's shares this morning. Now, where is security? Get this trash out of here. They are polluting my darling's air." I stood there, dazed, watching Eric and Chloe being dragged out screaming in despair. A sense of satisfaction seeped into every cell, but a new fear washed over me. Damon turned to me, leaning down to whisper in my ear, "I've upheld my end of the deal. Now it's your turn, Aria. Come home with me tonight. We have a long-term contract to sign." Damon tossed me onto the king-sized bed in the penthouse overlooking the city. I curled up, heart pounding. After the performance at the company, I knew I had no way out. "Damon, Mr. Sterling," I stammered. "About the contract. Can I pay in installments? I don't want to sell my body." Damon loosened his tie, his dark eyes staring at me like a wolf looking at a sheep. He walked over, planting his hands on the mattress, trapping me in between. "Who said anything about selling your body?" He pulled a piece of paper from his suit pocket. Not a mistress contract, but a marriage registration form. "Sign it," Damon ordered, his tone like he was closing a billion-dollar deal. My eyes widened. "Marriage? Are you crazy? We've only known each other for 48 hours. And you are my best friend's uncle. Bella will kill me." At the mention of Bella, my phone in my bag started ringing. The screen flashed, BFF Bella, along with a bloody knife icon. I went pale. It's over, she knows. I moved to hang up, but Damon was faster. He grabbed the phone and slid to answer, putting it on speaker. "Hello, Aria, where are you?" Bella's voice screamed piercingly. "The whole company is rumoring that you're hooking up with some tycoon to kick Eric's ass. Spill it, who is he?" I looked at Damon pleadingly, signaling for silence. But Damon Sterling never understood silence. He smirked, answering the phone. "It's Uncle." Silence on the other end. 3 seconds later, Bella's scream was 10 times louder. "Young Uncle, you slept with MY Uncle. Aria, are you MY best friend or MY niece now?" I buried my face in the pillow in shame. Damon looked completely unbothered. "Bella, brace yourself. Soon, don't call her Aria anymore. Call her Auntie." With that, he hung up abruptly and tossed the phone aside. Obstacle removed. Now sign. I pushed his chest away, gathering all my courage to shout. "No, why me? You're rich, handsome, powerful. Why force a normal girl who just got cheated on like me to marry you? Do you want to mock me?" Damon froze. The teasing look vanished. He looked deep into my eyes, his gaze suddenly becoming strangely gentle. He stood up straight, walked to the nightstand, and took out an old wooden box. "Do you think that night at the bar was the first time we met?" He opened the box. Inside wasn't expensive jewelry, but a cheap, hand-embroidered handkerchief stained with age. I was stunned. "This is." 3 years ago, Damon said, his voice dropping. "The day my mother died. I ran away from the funeral, sat in the rain in the park, feeling like the world was collapsing. A foolish student ran over, held an umbrella for me, gave me this handkerchief, and said, 'Mister, don't cry. Crying makes you look ugly. No one will marry you later.'" Memories rushed back like a waterfall. That student was me. But back then, Damon had a scruffy beard and looked homeless. I couldn't recognize him as this illustrious CEO. "Since that day, I have always watched over you," Damon continued, stepping closer to me. "I saw you love that guy Eric, saw you sacrifice for him, suffer for him. I intended to let go, to wish you happiness. But last night..." He lifted my chin, his eyes burning. "When you rushed into my arms at the bar and asked me how much for a night, I knew it was my last chance. Aria, I don't need your $200. I need you." Tears welled up in my eyes. It turned out, while I was suffering over a worthless man, a powerful man had been silently waiting for me in the shadows. But that $200 was all the assets I had at the time. I sniffled, trying to joke to hide my emotion. Damon laughed, leaning down to kiss my forehead. "That's why I have to repay you with my body. I'll work for you for the rest of my life to pay off the debt. How does that sound, Mrs. Sterling?" I looked into his eyes, seeing my reflection there. No longer the pathetic, betrayed girl, but the most cherished woman in the world. I took the pen, signing a decisive stroke on the marriage paper. "Fine, but remember, if your service isn't good, I won't tip another cent." Damon smirked, sweeping me up into his arms. "Don't worry. Tonight I'll prove to you that your husband's service is worth much more than $200. The wedding of the century for the Sterling family took place. I wore a wedding dress encrusted with 1,000 diamonds, linking arms with Damon as we walked down the aisle. In the front row, Eric and Chloe were standing as servers. That's right. After being fired and blacklisted from the entire industry, the only job they could get was waiting tables at my own wedding. Seeing me, Eric's face went gray, and Chloe trembled so much she spilled a tray of wine. Bella stood nearby as a bridesmaid, laughing and crying at the same time. "Boo-hoo, I can't believe I have to call my best friend Auntie. Auntie Aria, remember to give me lucky money." Damon leaned down, whispering in my ear, "Wife, are you ready for your shift tonight?" I blushed, smiling radiantly. "Ready, and this time I'll pay you back with my whole life." The end